According to one conception, your body reflects your present karma. When you practice asanas and experience some discomfort, step by step your joints get free and you get rid of karma. And as a result, your life gets easier and easier. That's how it works. Can I ask a question? Since my childhood, I like sweets. My mom indulged my fancy for sweets. Easily I can withstand a diet not to eat sweets for some time, but then again back to sweets. I always wanted to ask, is it the same parasiting larva I cannot get rid of? Or larvas keep on changing once I overcome a previous one? Frankly speaking, I'm not a larva specialist. I'm not so interested in it. No matter what larva causes an addiction, if you have any, you should understand that you waste your life energy. Each of us has an essential mission in life we have reincarnated for. To realize this mission, you need to focus your efforts upon. Imagine a mountain climber who's all set to reach the summit. His equipment is up to the purpose, and fellow climbers are there to assist the ascent. His mind is made up to reach the top, but then he remembers that he's forgotten to eat a candy. In another 5 meters, he stops again to have another one, and it repeats again and again. Do you think he'll manage the climb up to the top if he's constantly into candies? Please understand, these little pleasures and addictions that exist in any human's life take away some energy that is meant for his essential mission. For example, you have 1 kg of wheat, which could be cultivated and result a rich harvest that may benefit you and others. But you eat up one by one wheat grains, believing in harmlessness of your actions. Chances are you find yourself left out without any grains when it's a high time to plant. This comparison shows that when you focus your life energy on something, your energy reserve from your main goal might be taken away. So I have to see how my energy outflows correlate with fulfilling my mission. Right, even a slight habit wastes your life energy. This is the problem. Minor pleasures and delights you enjoy in life reduce your potential great joy. If available energy has been used one way, then it falls short of another one. Right? Yes, and the key word is dispersion. If you disperse your energy on trivial matters, you won't reach a fundamental one. This is the main problem. So what is fundamental to help people? It depends on the caste you belong to. Everybody has a unique goal according to the caste. For instance, some may be useful in construction, so they have to engage themselves in building. And how to determine the cost? We may have already opted a wrong way. Ideally, you need to remember your past lives. If you clear up your past life, you get to know why you have been born this time and the tendency of your evolution. So keep up the direction of your development. It is pointless for a builder to retrain for a farmer. It is better to proceed with construction, as the past life experience helps you forward. Of course, new skills can be acquired. Still, you'll be short of efficiency. It concerns the cost of traders and producers. Another cost, warriors, also need achievements in their field. For example, advanced martial arts, etc. If a person belongs to Brahmins, then of course he has to extend the knowledge. But it's not about the quantity like a library collection, but rather about application of knowledge and achieving practical experience. He must advance his ability to perceive himself and the world around him. This is the Brahmin's aim. From the standpoint of karma, a Brahmin doesn't have anything else to do but to learn and develop himself. Why so? What do you think? Perhaps because he has already experienced other fields. Yes, he has in previous lives. That's why he is a wealthy man in this life. He doesn't need to work. He's all good economic-wise, and he can develop himself further on. How to remember past lives? It is not so difficult if you make some efforts. There are techniques with a quick result, such as regressive hypnosis. But its weak point is getting the result you expect to get. In most of the cases, the result of the session depends on your goal. Does a bad economic situation testify against belonging to a caste of Brahmins in previous life? Or difficult conditions in life favor your development? I think it all depends. What influences the welfare of a being in this life, taking into consideration different conditions of your background? Any ideas? Blessings one get in life? Past lives? Maybe beneficial activity for others in this life? Keeping aside esoterics, a welfare depends on the clarity that gives the ability to act strategically and tactically, to evaluate the state of affairs and to make right decisions. So, how can the clarity be gained? It can be developed with the help of meditation or be an ability of the past life. Unfortunately, as you say, it is impossible to keep esoterics aside. If you do not consider past lives, you aren't able to make a correct conclusion in this life. You may come to a conclusion that, for example, a good financial state favors good education, but a poor health in a childhood causes lack of education. Then probably experience is the cause of a welfare. If a person is able to learn from his own mistakes and has no fear to rectify them. So again, experience and clarity. Andrey, are there any practical techniques to remember previous incarnations? Yeah, can we remember them right now? No, you ought to be ready. We will be back to this topic in another 5 minutes. Let's reflect why people are born in different conditions. You have mentioned sound points. The main thing I agree with is other people's blessings and gratitude. But what about a gratitude expressed, for example, by a drunk person for a bottle of vodka you helped him buy? It helped him ruin his life with the means of alcohol. This is also sort of gratitude, isn't it? Due to this gratitude, he'll get a bottle of vodka in his next life. Tell me, how many of you have read the Mahabharata? Completely? Well, at least some of it. Let's touch a subject which is taken over sensitively in the society, but threats the Vedic scriptures. Those who read but didn't pay attention to it, I recommend to read once again more carefully. So I'm talking about donations to the gods or to a higher evolved being. Do you know what I mean? You may not believe me, but donations is a fundamental cause of a welfare in future life. Let me explain why it's so important. Quite recently, one guy posted on our forum his thoughts on the cost of our well-attended program that is held on Kupala celebration in a yoga camp nearby Anapa in Russia. I answered to him, explaining that his thoughts are produced by his material mindset. And if someone doesn't have any money to pay for such a program, a yoga camp just 100 kilometers away from a mansion place is organized for free, donations only. 3 summer months you can spend there, getting new knowledge and practicing yoga. Still he was dissatisfied and kept on posting. That's the common standpoint for businessmen and craftsmen who value money and consider everything else as secondary in life. They cannot comprehend the existence of energy, as it cannot be grasped and held in arms. Gratitude is also beyond their understanding. It is out of their world perception. They never came across some concept that aid to make correct conclusions. This is a vast subject. Allah, you showed me 100 hryvnias yesterday that one man had donated. Yes, please give them to me. I'll use them as an example. Hope you will understand. Thank you. You know, in early 90s, knowledge was hard to get. Yoga didn't exist as such. Those who shared some bits were of a great value. At that time, one oddity of mine revealed itself. At any seminar, I used to donate everything I had in my wallet. My welfare allowed me to do so. I earned enough whenever I visited any city teaching yoga. And I observed my oddity for many times and got surprised by the strange habit. I supposed it may be over one day. Later on, when the energy of gratitude became clear to me, I realized why I am well-to-do in this life. Do you see the difficulty of the subject? Vaishya, or a caste of businessman, will pass my words through the prism of materialism, taking conclusions far away from the real meaning of my speech. My words are about energy, but they can be taken as materialistic, though they intercorrelate. So I figured out how this habit of mine got developed. In past lives, I appreciated only knowledge and teaching as fundamental, because knowledge is what I can carry to future lives. All possessions will be left behind in this world when it's time to leave. I asked whether you read the Mahabharata, as any scripture narrates that knowledge is given for generous donations. This is the main point. That's why I asked to give these 100 hryvnias to me. Are they real? Yeah, I think so. I don't know actually, I'm not a specialist in it. You see, a man attended my lecture, although he couldn't attend this seminar, but donated 100 hryvnias to popularize a wholesome lifestyle. When we did our shopping yesterday, Allah gave to me the money saying about donation. I answered, this money is karmic, we are not allowed to even touch it. The banknote has to be used as efficient as possible, bringing benefits to the donator, as he doesn't have any tools to earn gratitude. And now imagine that these 100 hryvnias are invested in edition and distribution of books about vegetarianism, for example. Another man comes across this book, supposedly at the cost of 100 hryvnia, and his life changes grossly. So the gratitude for the direction to right track that goes to the sponsor of the book edition. You see? Thus, donations ought to be used for a specific purpose and not misused. I always tell to yoga teachers that all yoga teachers' income is karmic. A material form of gratitude a yoga teacher earns has to be used in a very effective way, as it benefits students' development. Is that clear? So, if my husband sponsored my participation in this seminar, he benefits from it? Possibly he does, if the seminar does you good and you share the goodness with your husband. You know, there is a saying, husband and wife live the same life. Your energy is common, so one can say that you are the one from energetic point of view. That is why the more you change yourself for better, the greater benefit he gets. It is interrelated. Please understand the conception of donation. It is important to find someone you can entrust donations, being confident that money will be used effectively. Believe me, I found it a big problem for some time. I was told a story. One man had the opportunity to steal near $1 million. Oh, well done! No, there is nothing to put on ace, as he was aware of the law of karma to some extent. It happened that he had either to take the money or to throw them away. He went for the first option, hence he had to use the money as effectively as possible, without bringing disaster upon himself. The way out he found was a donation to a Guruji, whose ashram is located in Himalayas and who was seriously into practice, having a large following. Let me note once again, an ordinary man leading an active social life might take my words as a nonsense. If you move in esoteric circles for 20 years, you see that it's not a tale. So this guy made up his mind to donate the money to a spiritual person he believed in. The money got transferred to another country and was converted into a local currency. Thus, the money could fit a big bag only. A witness of the money handing over told this story to me. The Guruji the money was meant for was far away from the reality, so that money didn't have any value for him. He just believed in other priorities. He accepted the donation, saying, if he wants so, let it be. So the bag got handed over to his hands. Immediately, his face color changed to gray. His energy transformed dramatically. That witness ensured that he would have never believed in the power of money to change the energy so badly if this hadn't happened in front of him. So that Guruji felt bad. Does it mean that the money had negative energy as it was stolen? Of course. The man money got transferred to felt really bad. Just some good Brahmins are ready to accept Europeans' donations and deal with the money. Especially karmic money is not a desirable subject to deal with. I understand that my words sound strange to those who stick to a materialistic standpoint. And moreover, if you read Vedic scriptures, You may learn the way an ancient Vedic society was organized. According to the scriptures, it was difficult to find a needy to help him out. That was not a problem to take and use, but to give. You follow me? The real challenge you can give something to. Still, what about a tradition to welcome pilgrims and to provide with lodging and food and everything required? Tales narrate of kings distributing generous gifts, so subjects accepted them. Not any fairy tale provides with adequate information, but I got your point. Tell me, what you mean by pilgrims? Could you interpret the word for me, please? I interpret it as travelers. I see. By no means I want to reproach you, but you do not comprehend the main point of pilgrimages and why it's important to support them. In India, this kind of movement is still on to some extent. As a rule, pilgrims are elderly people who visit sacred places to do their practice of prayings. They shift from one place to another and so on. The places are well known, so there are some ashrams en route to take care of travelers. Pilgrims do not wander from one region to another for the sake of fun. Thus, the motivation to support them lies within benefits one gets by helping pilgrims to work on themselves and to change their energy. That's what they do in sacred places. If one cannot travel himself, he assists those who do it and gets the benefits. I have a question about knowledge transmission. Is it compulsory to give anything in return for knowledge? According to the law of karma, what if one takes knowledge without paying for it? According to the law of karma, you experience either the result of your past deeds, a retribution, or create future potential, a merit. If you give something to somebody without response, it means that you worked out your negative karma. That is, you did not respond in the past, and that's your repay. Thank the person kindly and say, now it is your debt to pay off. I'll move on in self-development. Indeed, that's how it works. Modern society conceives an upside-down reality and praises those who snatch more than others. Like the man who sold $1 million. But understand, everything happens in correspondence with your needs. Lessons you have to get through will take place in your life, that's for sure. I have a question. I understand the misconception of materialism, but I don't have an opportunity to follow the right path. As the knowledge of the problems is already within me, will the tools to solve them come later on? Hopefully, the tools do come. Your current karma doesn't meet your expectations. Create a firm intention. Your reality will be shaped up accordingly. In a frame of old reality, you aimed at some goals. Halfway, you wanted to change the course, finding all goals irrelevant. A course change takes time, as you keep on moving mechanically. May I ask a question? There is such an item as not receiving gifts in Yama. Can you tell us more about it? If you are self-efficient, everything is perfect. But receiving gifts can be taken as a negative karma transmission. You cannot take it but understand that yama can be considered by different stands and get different results. Okay, another question. Could you please comment on the situation? I gifted an item to a guy who has lost a similar stuff, but the gift made him discomfort and he tried to pay the gift. Is there anything to do with receiving gifts or rejecting them? You may lose something in future, and once someone gifts you the same stuff, you'll feel uncomfortable. Another question. Should the donation be done selflessly? Good deeds are often motivated by a desire to benefit from them. It doesn't matter. If you can help selflessly, please do. What's your self-interest if your donation is used the most efficiently? What is the gain? Someone's development? One expects his donation to be repaid 100-fold. That's the benefit. Dear friends, I can guarantee you that it does work like that. My life proves it true. The more I give, the more I got. That is a fact. You get as good as you give. Right. When I was a kid, my dad told me an old Cossack proverb. What you give is yours. What you keep is gone. It took me long to grasp the meaning as I was little. Recently, I chatted with Alexei Trikhlebov riding in a car, and I mentioned this proverb. He kept a silence for a minute and said, "Listen, my dad told me the same." We discussed the necessity of donations, people's ignorance on the subject, and their preference to pile up materialistic stuff, to live in clover, hoping that helps elevate them. It doesn't. Can gratitude serve as payment? Yes, of course it can. So money is not necessary to be paid to appreciate help. Gratitude can be expressed instead and be even more valuable, isn't it? Hard to say if it's more valuable or not. I gave an example with 100 hryvnias. Imagine, a king donates to a saint man to build up an ashram. What's the Russian word for it? Temple? Well, temple is a bad name. Sanctuary? Well, let it be sanctuary. The place is meant for evolution development, isn't it? That's in case the saint man is sane and he benefits others. The special purpose of king's donation is of a great importance. Here another example. Millionaire is dying. Let's say he developed cancer and 3 months are left. But he worked his guts out all his life, and all the earnings will be inherited by his successors. He perfectly realizes the stupidity and disability of successors. What should he do with the money? He can distribute charity. According to the law of karma, if his successors waste his money on booze and fun, he will experience karmic retribution. If saved up money is blown off by unreasonable people, the one who had made a fortune gets a negative karma. So it's a big deal for any millionaire to place money wisely. Another example of Apple's owner who made an enormous fortune but then died. He seemed to die of cancer. What's his karmic storage? What karma will he get? What do you think? It depends on the purpose his money will be spent on. Well, we do not know, but we can assume. Actually, it is not so evident. The matter of fact is that the person produced some goods, driven by motivation to make the world better by means of his creation. And what he made was good. Lived we in a perfect world, he would never face problems. But the issue is that his creations served both good and bad purposes, depending on the users. Thus, he has some positive karma as well as negative one. So, as a result of his activity, he will have to go through both positive and negative consequences of his creations. There is a demonstrative story of guillotine invention. Half of Paris was wiped out with its help, and the inventor suffered the same fate. It's quite different. Those who earn a great deal are slaves of a certain system. I will not elaborate on this, but think of most of the kings in Vedic time. Who knows what they did at the end of life? They went away? Better say they went to the forest to lead a life of hermits. But not just in the forest, special appointed places were arranged for the self-development. The kings moved to ashrams to practice yoga. The fact of the matter is that Vedic scriptures tell us of rulers giving up the throne to practice yoga for self-development, when the heir to the throne grew up. May I ask a question? Yes, sure. Krishna, in his dialogue with Arjuna described in Bhagavad Gita, advises to dedicate an activity to him, be it in a battlefield or anywhere else. Whatever question you ask, it will be difficult to answer, and I'll explain why. Were I an ISKCON follower, I'd build up my answer on teaching of Srila Prabhupada, though the understanding is better be based on Krishna words. Anyway, I'll tell you some bits of the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. Pardon me, but may I rephrase the question? Sure. I am not an ISKCON follower myself. The question is about dedication of my activity to God. Different sources state the same. But I believe it is so pity to bother the God with such small trifles. Was that approach suitable for ancient times or the great battle they participated in? But nowadays, does it make any sense? There are three states people can find themselves: passion, darkness, and goodness. The same deed leads to different consequences being performed by different people. The result is up to dominating energy. Nevertheless, let's talk about Bhagavad Gita as it's a common scripture. Do you remember Vasishtha from Ramayana, who motivated Rama to kill Ravana? Some few people know as follows, and the ISKCON followers remain silent. But the majority doesn't even know the fact that Kurukshetra described in Mahabharata was planned as a massacre. Too many honest Kshatriyas would never allow spreading parasitism in this world. So the gods manifested themselves on the planet especially for this plan realization. Emanation of Sun the God, Yudhishthira, emanation of Justice the God, Arjuna, emanation of Indra the god, Bhimasena, emanation of Vayu the god, Nakul and Sahadev, emanation of Ashwini the gods, Draupadi and Drishtadyumna, emanation of Fire the god, a grandfather Bhishma, emanation of Vasu the god, and emanation of Vishnu the god. Krishna? Right, Krishna. And Krishna and his brother Balarama, emanation of Sheshu the serpent. And these 11 people, if you can call them so, created that great slaughter to annihilate all Kshatriyas. 1,700,000,000 people were killed on Kurukshetra. Can you imagine? So grandfather Bhishma himself, the emanation of Vasu the god, had to slay 100,000 people per day. He didn't leave the battlefield till he fulfills his intent. They all did so. There were just some survivors by the end of the massacre. 5 people? There were more than 5 survivors. Ashwatthama, Kripa, and one more, I cannot remember the name, survived from the Kshatriyas from the Kaurava side, plus 5 Pandavas. You have to inquire into a story on your own to understand that Vaishnavis' belief of divine intent of the Kurukshetra short ill with the reality. The battle was produced with an intention to annihilate the Kshatriyas. What kind of divine offerings can be meant? Krishna addressed clearly to Arjuna the following: Arjuna, I differ from you in remembering my past lives, so just obey me. Your duty is to kill. Read the 16th chapter of the Mahabharata to learn more. I can tell you even more. Shiva participated in the multi-move game as well. The Pandavas won thanks to Arjuna's mastery. All enemies but 3 were killed. The Pandavas' camp still numbered several thousand. Shiva granted a special weapon, kind of a sword, able to cut an elephant in 2 to Ashwatthama. Moreover, Shiva got into Ashwatthama, who finished off all the Pandavas, except 5 who were out of the camp. According to Shiva, it was high time for Pandavas to leave. The major cause was elimination of conscientious Kshatriyas. What for? What do you think? Kali Yuga had to begin. Right. And the thing is that even one conscientious Kshatriya would have never allowed to spread parasitism in the world. Is that clear? In ancient times, the duty of a warrior was to fight completely against injustice, even at the cost of his life. That is why all Kshatriyas had to be eliminated to set a new civilization you live in. May I ask one more question? Does a dead body have to be committed to the flames or to the earth? Does it actually matter? According to both Slavic and Vedic traditions, a dead body is to be cremated only. This is an ancient Slavic term for this, that means coming back to origins. All Jivatmas return to the origins through the fire. There is such a conception. Body committing to the earth to worms is also an option. From where this tradition originated, let's leave this subject out. Andrey, so it's not worth to do offerings to gods in Kali Yuga unless you are a Brahmin. Why not? Do some offerings. Understand, it was just an example. Different people, depending on the belonging on the one of 3 categories I mentioned, should offer to the gods in different ways. You ask me whether you should or not. Somebody do, some others not. Whatever the case, you should establish relationship with the gods. It's worth to remember the gods no matter what you do, I believe so. Absolutely. Here is the question. What's the difference between caste and Varna? There is no difference. People of this area we live in used a word Varna to describe the human classification. People from India used a word caste. Same meaning, simply different names. Still, the classification's resemblance is strong and evident. Shudra in India is untouchable or gypsy here. Vaishya in India is Vesi here. Kshatri in India is a knight here. Brahmin in India is a wizard or magician here. Same classification, but different names. What about Smirt? Smirt is untouchable, or Shudra. I just didn't mention it. I have a question regarding money. Why did Brahmins refuse to take money? What they were based on? They didn't want to be responsible for money placing? Imagine somebody kills someone at these 100 grivnas. Respective karma sticks to the banknote. If the money is offered to the Brahmin, and Brahmin buys and has some food for the money, the karma passes on him. So the intention of the Brahmin is to avoid this karma. Moreover, Brahmins are economically self-sufficient. to keep up constant. One's energy level is very hard once you are a part of the society. So when Brahman comes out or someone from the society visits him, his energy levels down. One has to make every effort to stay pure. It comes easily to live dirtily in terms of energy, and it is so hard to stay pure. Once the purity is experienced, you never want to lose it. And nowadays man is stimulated to greater efforts by money to enjoy the life later on. It doesn't work in subtle world, as other laws are enforced there. Good Brahmins are extremely careful when it comes to offerings. Not all offerings are acceptable, as they lead to energy exchange. They have to do some goodness in exchange for material goods. May I ask one more question? I wonder whether listening to mantras and mantra chanting bring equal or different influence on a person. Both cases are to do with vibrations, and we are vibrational beings. The influence is different, of course. But why? Katya, when is mantra Om chanting scheduled? It is scheduled for tomorrow. So, tomorrow evening, try to chant mantra Om. After around 15 minutes of chanting, I will ask you to bring your hands to chest, and you will feel the vibration your voice produces and spreads over your body. That's a unique effect that mantra Om only can produce. That's why it is called a life-giving mantra, as it transforms your body. Vibrations change body cells to positive. There is one opinion that even cancer and heart problems can be cured. South Tyrol singing is widely popular in Italy and Germany. They produce certain vibrations by singing with a purpose of treatment. Well-to-do people on good cars visit the place to create mantra-alike sounds. I was shocked myself. I asked them for details and got to know that they come to treat heart problems. As research proved, such singing efficient in treating myocardium scars even. Patients have to sing themselves? Yes, patients sing themselves. That's a fact. That the man managed to cure his myocardium by singing. That is why mantras have a big life-giving meaning for the body, and a lot of people buy it. But it's not just body that benefits from mantra chanting. The major effect goes deeper. The energy and energy flows get changed. This energy pathway changes. When some energy is accumulated in lower chakras, and chances are it may be wasted, use mantra as the most efficient tool to sublimate your energy, to bring it higher. I hope we will practice mantra tomorrow, if the time allows. I have a question. If a yoga teacher earns a living on yoga classes only, can he spend money on books, donations, temples and similar things only? What about his personal expenses? A yoga teacher has to live with much more responsibility. Firstly, he shouldn't eat whatever he craves for, but what brings good only. Secondly, he is to be positive in his wholesome life realization with certain achievements. In that case only those people who supported him on the way will benefit. That is a long-term investment of energy from the point of view of those people who gave him money. Let's make it simpler and take two contrary yoga teachers as diametrically opposite examples. One of them drinks, smokes. Jokes aside, I have met these kind of teachers myself. And another one doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, but is into self-development. Both teach some kind of yoga, most likely one of those that is focused on body only, keeping energy and spirit issues aside. And imagine that their lifetime is up. One will die earlier, but it doesn't matter, as both of them will pass on sooner or later. Imagine that one train heads to the downfall, another one is not heading there. Whom would you help, the first or the second train? The second. The metaphor of crashing train I used corresponds the yoga teacher who drinks and smokes, the one who enjoys his life and makes money on yoga teaching. This kind of lifestyles is believed to be one of the worst forms of lives. no good can be expected. Let's briefly talk on one of the theories of the yoga regions. At better times, people didn't accumulate karma as such. That is, they lived in all honesty and everything was good. Shiva is the one who's responsible for people due to some reasons. So, at dark times, he imparted knowledge of austerity and self-improvement techniques that allow a person to change his karma in a body and to avoid a painful development through degradation. Because once this process is on, one has to reach very low levels, and it takes tremendous efforts to be back. Prevention is better than cure. Heard of it? You'd better be into prevention to avoid cure. That's why yoga was created by Shiva, to give opportunities to the souls to develop themselves by changing the energy and karma on the yoga mats or by the means of any other techniques. Making efforts ensures a soul evolution. Is Shiva the devil's chief, roughly speaking? It is very rude and incorrect to say so. Well, a spiritual deity of demons? No, he's not. He is responsible for many things. Well, let me elaborate on Shiva. You might have heard of the Trinity, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, which is responsible for development and so on. Don't take my word for the following, but check them up. I recommend the Yoga Vasishtha that contains the ideas I share with you. Shortly and oversimplified, the story is following. Shiva had to create our universe, but still Brahma happened to take a lead. Once upon a time, a trinity got together to discuss the details of the creation. I make it primitive and clear for you to understand. So, Shiva delivered a speech. We are to create an opportunity of experience to the gods and people, but they will again be involved in indecent deeds, doing harms to each other and so on. So let's do next. I will work on a kind of business plan to help souls get experience without losses and stay clean. Shiva got a support of others and went deep on meditation to think over an action plan. He took a tremendous amount of time because he thought over every detail to help destined to reincarnate in that universe souls get through their lives with dignity, with minimum losses and minimum karmic consequences. But Vishnu and Brahma didn't wait until he's done, considering him to forget about the deal. So Brahma performed a creation on his own. Once Shiva came out of meditation, having the plan of gaining experience with minimal losses ready, he saw the universe ready. So he decided to help people as if they were his nephews, if he got late. So that is, Brahma considers people as children, but Shiva takes them as nephews, and he helps them out. Is that clear? The positions of the Trinity can be swapped over in other worlds. At times, Brahma is a creator of universes. At times, Shiva is the one. At times, Vishnu. What matters is presence of these three energies. Roughly speaking, Shiva is responsible for sanity. Taking demons as his responsibility is wrong. Do not take my word for it. Do read scriptures. Is Brahma in charge of consciousness? Brahma keeps up life. He is the creator and he is the father of humankind. Everyone wishes his family well, meaning just some people. But there is a supreme kind, the greatest one, and it is just a half of the truth. The truth is that there are many galaxies in the space. Each and every galaxy has his own Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Using proficient techniques, you can accumulate some energy and level it up to use it. I have tried them myself, so the techniques have been tested by me, not just picked up in books. With the help of the energy, you can immerse into yourself. What do you think? What will you face with once you are deep inside? Any ideas? Our matrix? Yeah, we can say so. We will face with the stuff that have been placed in your inner world by you. And you will have to get through it. It is a fact. But if you keep on moving deeper and deeper, you reach the starting point of your birth. If you move up, you'll reach the transition point or so-called bardo. It is a yogic technique. A simpler one is for those who are not into yoga, and it lies in keeping a diary. First, you note down your day. Then you remember and note down what happened a month ago. Then 2 months ago. Then 3 months ago, and so on, going back in remembering the developments. Gradually, you get to the moment of your birth. You can remember the moment of your birth. Then you can immerse yourself even further on. That is past life's recollection for lazy fellows who do not want or is not able to get into yoga. Is it a longer way? Oh yeah, it is much longer. Chances are you won't withstand it till the end. The condition of self-exploration is limitation of external information. You need to perfectly close up yourself and then go inside. If you watch TV, movies, go to the office, argue with somebody, and then make attempts to look inside, most probably you would not succeed. There are yoga techniques that make this possible. I can recommend a yoga camp Aura. If you have some experience in practice, come. We will teach you such techniques. All the vital energy has to be collected and energy drains are to be limited. Are you aware of energy drains? So, no energy losses, maximum accumulation and level it up makes possible your self-exploration. Maximum collect the energy to raise as high as possible. Then you can look inside. Technique is very simple actually, just not all can stand it. First of all, you need to have some experience in yoga and be able to keep a straight back and preferably Padmasana for 3 hours. You know the difference between Padmasana and other asanas? There is a faster way to remember. Really? I have a friend who has been practicing yoga for 25 years. Once I asked for how long he can remember himself. He said that he remembers his being as long as the earth exists. That's his achievement for 25 years. So, he was on the earth only? Well, I'm retelling as he said. Also, I met one woman who was involved in Scientology. I didn't take it seriously, as it is subjected to criticism. But she told me that after 2.5 years of practice in a frame of Scientology church, she remembered 20 or 30 times more than the time of the Earth's existence. I just got astonished. They use very powerful techniques. I can assure you that the authority of Scientology church is usurped. I agree, but the techniques are very powerful. I respect Ron Hubbard himself because he really was a patriot of his country or of his civilization, but he got pressed in full measure. Ron Hubbard is the founder of Scientology. Why I always mention of him? I do recommend you to read one of his books, at least one. It's a 2-volume book titled Battlefield Earth. It's a very interesting book. The movie has been shot on the book. It was indeed, but just the first volume. And it's the second part which is more interesting, as it narrates of intergalactic banks. Same story takes place on our planet.
Hobart wasn't afraid of telling the truth, though he was pressed hard, but unsuccessfully. I respect the guy. But I cannot comment on the Church of Scientology. I have either good nor bad words to say of it. But it's not about the church. Some people left the church as they had been duped on money and no chances had been given to develop. Now they practice independently, as the tools are useful. Andrey, I have a question. Why it takes so long for one practitioner to succeed, but it's a click away for another one? Progress depends on our starting level of development. The woman you mentioned of must have been leading wholesome lives, so sanity and purity are with her in this life too. So that's her good karma helps her achieve the result for free? Not for free. She worked hard in the past.